What up, people? Mike Steph here with another edition of Mike Steph's WrestleMania Memories. We are currently up to WrestleMania 37, which is the redo in Tampa 2021 from WrestleMania 36 because WrestleMania 36 in Tampa was canceled due to a global pandemic. Now, the one thing about WrestleMania 37, excuse me, the pandemic really wasn't over. A lot of restrictions have been loosened. More information was found that if you're outside venue, you have what did they call it, spacing, social distancing, and you wore a mask and so forth. You was able to at least cut down the amount of transmission from the germs that were going on in the world. Also, if you want to go to a live public event, set your own risk. Come through, watch some wrestling. 2 nights outside. Watch the WWE superstar for the first time in front of fans in over a year. That was really the selling point. We had history in the making. That Saturday night, they had two main events. You had main event of night one was Bianca Belair, newly crowned 2021 Royal Rumble winner, against Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné, for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. And then on night two, you had Roman Reigns defending his Universal Championship against that one, but two individuals, two veterans, two mechanics, two wizards of the ring, two opponents, such as Daniel Bryan and Edge, who goes by Adam Copeland. Well, his name is Adam Copeland, goes by Cope. Why, I don't know, but regardless, Adam Cope, but no, I think it's still Cope. Anyway, in AEW, but Edge, who made his return once again from injury. Because he made his return after, what? How long was it? 9 years from injury. That we retired for 9 years in 2020. And then he got injured in the greatest match of all time, aka Backlash, against Randy Orton. And he returned again for the Royal Rumble in 2021. And did he win it in 2021? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's how he got the championship match. Daniel Bryan, they finally went back in the annals to find out exactly, to really bring that rivalry between him and Roman Reigns full circle from, at this point in time, 7 years prior, WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 31, more specifically, in which Roman Reigns was on the come up. Daniel Bryan was returning from injury. Daniel Bryan was the people's choice, and Roman Reigns was the company's choice. But more importantly than that, this was the first WrestleMania for Roman Reigns as the head of the table, as the tribal chief, as the chosen one, as the main head dude in charge of the Samoan dynasty. He had his wise man, Paul Heyman. He had his right-hand man in main event, Jey Uso. And he had returned that previous summer, SummerSlam 2020. The main event of that show was Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, versus Braun Strowman. And toward the end of that match, or at the end of the match, when Bray Wyatt won the championship again, guess who made their appearance? Guess who made their return? Roman Reigns, but something was different. There was a little aggression. There was a new look. There was shiny new teeth. There was I came, I win, or wreck everybody, then leave. I came, I win, I leave. Something to that effect. But wreck everybody and leave. The spousal chief co-opted that with another term that I will no longer use due to I'm just a different person, but it's wreck everybody and leave. Okay. Something else and leave. Spousal chief number one. The original spousal chief, the OSC. Anyway. And that began his long record-setting reign. And that began the saga of the Bloodline. The Bloodline saga that lasted at least 4 years, and in a lot of ways is still weaving its way through the narrative structure of the WWE in all brands. That this became must-see TV. The next week on Payback, he became Universal Champion in a triple threat in which he pretty much showed up at the end, wrecked everyone, and left. Then he had a feud with his own family member, Jey Uso, for Jey Uso to fall in line, to realize that there can only be one. There can only be one head of the table, and that's me. And he was willing to do whatever was necessary to put food not only on his own table, but on the table of the family. And the quicker that the rest of the family realized that and fell in line, the quicker they could get in that chicken, get in that bread, get in that moolah. But there has to be only one. Only one. And that was the head of the table, Roman Reigns. So you lead up to this match, and Roman Reigns. It was a big experiment. Meaning, this is the first time that Roman Reigns in his current incarnation was going to be in front of a live audience. A lot of the work that they did was based in the Thunderdome, in which they can manipulate. Matter of fact, not even manipulate, they can give you the outcome that you wanted. The boos, the cheers, the confusion, the white noise allowed him to breathe life into that character, to meld that character with himself, to become one with that character. For him to embody the smugness, the arrogance of the tribal chief, of a chief gone mad with power. He was able to do that in the Thunderdome setting because there was no bystanders, there was no outsiders that boo, yay, oh no, oh I thought you were the big dog, oh I thought you were part of the Shield. I thought there was none of that. This methodical character of Roman Reigns was able to grow, but you didn't know how that was going to translate in real life in front of live fans. And it translated well. Oh, it translated well. You had Edge, who was the tweener, Daniel Bryan, who was still the white meat babyface, and Roman Reigns, who was him. Before Carmelo, he was him. Through some interference by Jey Uso, but more along the lines of domination by Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. He defeated both Daniel Bryan and the rated R superstar Edge at the same time. He smashed them stacked them, then pinned them to retain the WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns had overcome his first potential obstacle, with flying colors. This would be the first in that's right, 4 consecutive WrestleMania main events in which he defended his championship. WrestleMania 37, WrestleMania 38, WrestleMania 39, WrestleMania 40. All 4 WrestleManias he came in as champion. Not just as champion, but the same reign as champion. His reign was over 1,300 days. Something that will probably never be matched ever again. He was that guy. Now, Saturday night, night 1, history was made of a different sort, but very important. Sasha Banks defended her SmackDown Women's Championship against Bianca Belair, winner of the 2020 Women's Royal Rumble. But more importantly than that, they main evented night 1. But more importantly than that, this was the first time not only African American women main evented WrestleMania, but African Americans at all main evented WrestleMania. The storyline leading up to that was crap. I'm not even going to try to bust my head trying to remember. All I know is this. At the very beginning of this match, they took a minute to soak it in. Both Sasha and Bianca looked around, looked at each other, and with tears in their eyes, realized they were making history. They were becoming the blueprint, pardon the pun. They were becoming the standard for which generations behind them would aspire to be, aspire to get there, aspire to go. It was a great match. This was the first time in which Bianca Belair actually used her hair to the advantage and whipped Sasha like she stole something and left a lash upon her body, upon her chest, her stomach, her side. Sasha Banks gave everything that she could and did everything that she could to make sure that Bianca not only was going to go over, but was going to get over, was going to have that foundation to go forward. Did anybody know that Sasha wasn't going to be long for WWE too much longer? No. But one thing was sure to be known is that Bianca Belair, this was her moment. She announced that she was here to stay. She was here to dominate. She was here to be that role model that not only young women, young African American women could look, but everybody could look to. But specifically, my daughter, Main Event K, could look at them and say, you know what? It's possible for me to do this. I could do this if I wanted to. Not only that, I'm actually looking at a program, a sport that I like, a sport that I love, and I actually see a representation of me on that screen. And that's not something to be poo-pooed. That's not something to be overlooked. That's something that was necessitated. So that was really the best part about WrestleMania 37. Honorable mentions, you had Bobby Lashley, the almighty Bobby Lashley, come into WrestleMania as WWE World Heavyweight Champion and retain that title against Drew McIntyre. You had Sheamus, I believe, retain or win. I can't remember. Probably win the United States Championship against Matt Riddle. You had Rhea Ripley. I think she beat Asuka, if I'm not mistaken, for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. And a bunch of other matches that. Oh yeah, you had Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens again in a match in which Logan Paul actually made his first appearance on WWE TV in the ring. For some reason, I think he was aligned with Sami Zayn, if I'm not mistaken. Don, I can't remember who was the heel and who was the face back then. It might have been Sami Zayn was the heel, and Roman. And yeah, I think Sami Zayn was still the heel. Kevin Owens was the face. Logan Paul was trying to get in, and he was just being annoying, and I think he caught a stunner from KO, which is apropos. But yeah. Besides that, oh yeah, and one last thing, I think this event marked the last WWE appearance of Samoa Joe, or was that later on in the summer? I can't remember, but I think this was the last main roster appearance of Samoa Joe. If I'm not mistaken, he was released and then brought back on the NXT brand, and maybe I think, like I said, WrestleMania memories. The closer it gets, the more I forget. Go figure. You know, there's a reason for that. It happens to have something to do with my favorite color, green. But listen, those are the past. Just like this throwback. Those are the throwback days. Anyway, on and away we go to next episode, WrestleMania 38, which is closer to normalcy. We have yet another salvo in the epic rivalry between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And matter of fact, I'm not even going to give it away. And there was, dare I say, a return of epic proportions, a return that nobody would have ever thought. And that return ended up headlining and main eventing night one, when WrestleMania returned to Dallas, when WrestleMania returned to Texas. One person returned to the main event. Another person probably lived their lifelong dream, their career-long dream, by main eventing WrestleMania, and especially probably against the opponent that they had. So how about that for a tease? Yeah. So check me out next episode for another edition of Mike Steph's WrestleMania Memories. Goodbye.